Welcome to the Wonderful Hour, a short time out to appreciate the small pleasures in life, those things that stop you in your tracks, make you think, and give you that appreciation of the world around us. From the award-winning broadcaster Tommy Boyd, this is the Wonderful Hour. Over to your host, the man himself, Tommy Boyd.
Hello and welcome to another Wonderful Hour with myself, Tommy Boyd. If this is your first time, welcome. This is just a little hodgepodge of things that pass us by that if we stop and think about, we realise actually these are the sorts of things that make life worthwhile. But we tend not to give them a second thought, not even a first thought. They're little things. And they're worth celebrating, because if you add them all up together, they provide a pretty sound structure for some kind of peace or contentment in our lives. And besides love and friendship and security, I think we're looking for peace and contentment. Don't use the word happy, because that's a fleeting, exuberant thing, frantic almost. It sort of speaks of that maniacal laughter that you get from cartoon characters. Oh, they're happy, but are they really contented? So that's what we look for in the Wonderful Hour. And today, all sorts of bits and pieces. I've made a couple of jottings, cartoons, which I've just mentioned. They are absolutely wonderful. Random friendships that spring up from nowhere, are quite sustained, and then disappear, go for whatever reason, because life's like that. Loads of things like that. So let's crack on. What's wonderful? There's something wonderful about virtually every animal on Earth. I say virtually, there's one or two that we don't talk about. But most of them they bring an enormous amount of wonder into our world if we're alert to it. Now, our dog has just started doing something that our previous dog used to do. They never met, but they like to sit at the top of the stairs, looking down the stairs, almost sort of king or queen of all that they survey, with this kind of proud wisdom and strength. Do they think they're guarding the house? Possibly. Do they think that they're lording it over all the other family members? Possibly. But the thing that really takes me is this. They cross their front legs. Now, I know that does sound like a big deal, but they both cross their legs, their front legs like this, okay, and sit with their chins on their crossed front paws like that, looking for all the world like, the ultimate wise man, Methuselah, or I don't know, just a thinker, the thinker. You know that statue, the thinker? I wanted to add two dogs do that. And part of the reason I find that wonderful every time I see it is because it reminds me of a moment when I was lucky enough to be working in Africa, in Kenya. And we visited, as part of the job, one of the, I think they were still called safari parks. I don't know if they've got a more modern term for them now. And we had a guide, and we'd been around and we'd seen elephants and giraffes, magnificent. We'd seen some lions too, and that was disappointing in that it was the middle of the day, and so they were just laying in a pride, they call them, don't they, lions? They were just lying, 8 or 10 or 12 adult lions and lionesses, didn't see any cubs, and they were just lying there. And one of my colleagues, a cameraman, decided that that wasn't worth shooting. He wanted the lions to be moving. So, against our wishes, he got out of the truck. He got out of the truck with his 100-weight camera and started going, "Shui, shui." You don't do that. One of the male lions got up and gave a roar. I'll never forget it, and I'll never forget this cameraman running the 20 or 30 yards that he was away from the truck, carrying it. But when I see our dogs at the top of the stairs, cross-legged, thinking like this, I'm reminded of this. At one point, towards the end of our time in the safari park, I said to the guide, "I'll tell you what we haven't seen. I don't know if you got them, but I haven't seen a leopard." "No," he said, "but that's because you're looking in the wrong places." I said, Where do you look for a leopard?" And he went, and sure enough, not long after that, we were driving slowly and we were going past a sort of a rock mountain. Well, it was less than a mountain. It was a big high hill made of rock. And he went like that. And I looked up and sure enough, there was a leopard in all its regalia, its colourings, its markings. They do make it the animal looks so regal and so powerful. They're not as powerful as lions. They're not as fast as cheetahs. But I'd always wanted to see a leopard in the wild. Okay. And there he was. I think it was a he. And guess what? Yes, he was sitting on a flat rock on top of this giant rock with his paws like this draped over the edge of the rock. And he was just looking. Only his eyes were moving. He was comfortable in the hot midday African sun, and he was contented, and it rubbed off on me. And I go there whenever I see our dogs at the top of the stairs. If you're on your toes, animals are forever, all of them, doing things that are absolutely wonderful. Sometimes it's good to celebrate pop culture, poppy things that at first glance seem shallow, things that as adults we like to think that we've put behind us. We've become more commonsensical, we've become wiser, we've become deeper and richer in our thought and our hearts, and it's not true. Close your eyes. Whenever I walk into a room full of people, which is rarely, I'm 14. I don't choose to be 14, but I can be 14, and I am 14. And I'll tell you what's wonderful is those cartoons that we cherish when we're young because they belong to us. These are major television programs that are made for us. And as we get older, we might dip into a bit of a Simpsons or some such, which embraces all generations. It's such a wonderful program. But the cartoons that we enjoyed when we were little, if we get a sniff of them in our adult times, it just lifts our spirits enormously. So what I got a sniff of was, and I won't detain you with the circuitous route that I ended up thinking about this thing, but it made me feel so good. And I was a kid and I was home from school on a Friday afternoon and there were kids' cartoons on. And one of the standout ones for me is one that I was reminded of the other day. And it reverted me back to 14 years of age. And it was Wacky Races. Oh, Wacky Races was such rubbish, but so good. Such a good baddie in Dick Dastardly and his sidekick, a mangy old pooch called Muttley, who had a chuckle on him a mile wide. And Muttley got the better of Dick Dastardly, even though Dick Dastardly thought he was getting the better of everybody. And there were all those gangs of racers. There was Peter Perfect and Penelope Pitstop. And you knew that if you were to meet Penelope Pitstop in real life, you would be utterly infatuated. And there were other random gangs, the Ant Hill Mob, which was a bunch of submachine gun bearing gangsters with 4 o'clock shadows and those hats that the Chicago gangsters didn't really wear, but they did in the movies. I think there was the Ant Hill Mob. That was them, was it? And then there was the Arkansas Chugger. Look how I can remember all this. I don't even have to try. The Arkansas Chuggerbug, which was a team of hillbillies, and they drove a mountain shack on wheels. And there was a tremendous commentary as well that glued the whole thing together. And once, when I was working in children's television, reminded of my infatuation with all these children's cartoons, but standout was the Wacky Races, I rang, I think it was United Artists in Hollywood, and asked to speak to the press tent and asked them, I'm phoning from British television, I just want to know if you can tell us who won wacky races. And the person I was speaking to said, I'll have to consult on that. I gave my number. Sure enough, the phone rang not long later. And she said this, there is no winner of the wacky races. There were, I think she said something like 38 episodes in total. And there was a different winner of each stage in each program, but no overall winner was declared. And I thanked her and put the phone down and thought, what are you doing with your time, mister? Ringing United Artists to find out who won wacky races just because you could say you were British television. You've just wasted part of two people's days there. But it gave me a happy memory, or reminded me of many happy memories. Children's cartoons, when we're little. Oh, absolutely wonderful. We've had a heat wave, and we've got another one coming in England, United Kingdom, across Europe. I believe it's pretty hot in America as well, where they're playing a World Cup as at this moment in time. But the other day, we did something that we haven't done because of the heat for a long time, and I'm so glad we did, and it's changed the way I do it. And I'm not going down a naughty path here. It's simply this. I go back as far as when Coca-Cola and other soft drinks didn't come in cans. The Coca-Cola bottle, if you've ever seen one, was quite iconic. It was a collector's item, every single one. The shape of it, the quality of the glass, rich, thick glass it was. It was a thing of beauty, absolute beauty. And then cans came along. And they're nice and colourful. They do litter up the streets and the beaches a little bit, but that's the fault of the people, not the cans themselves. But being able to drink soft drinks out of a can changed the experience dramatically. And I don't think it did it any favours, because you psst the can, don't you? Sometimes the ring pull nips your fingernail. Psst, you nip the can. And then if it's been kept in the fridge, in the shop, or your fridge, and you put it to your lips, you get that nice coldness from the can, which is very satisfying, but it wears off after about 30 seconds. So then you're just swigging a soft drink, let's say Coke, not because we're advertising, but because it's a nice shorthand. Yeah, and you're swigging increasingly flat tasting and increasingly warm Coca-Cola because your hand is round the tin. So what we did was this: we reminded ourselves, when you go on holiday and you order a Coke or any soft drink, of course, they make a bit of a theatrical thing about it. First of all, they put loads of ice in because that way they don't sell you so much Coke. You say, I don't know if that's true, but there's the ice, the tall glass, the ice, the Coke, and then a couple of little slices of lemon. And I tell you, you get served that round the pool with the sun beating down on you. That is a totally different experience. The flavour's the same, but a totally different experience from drinking it out of a can. So what we did was, we used to have lots of cans of soft drink in the house. We've got quite a few youngsters visiting, so there's almost always Fanta and Coke, and some of them like Red Bull. So, we've got plenty of cans of drink. But I bought a litre bottle of Diet Coke, put it in the fridge. I got two of our longest, tallest, thickest, biggest glasses, wet them under the tap, put them in the freezer. I'd already bought a bag of ice, big cubes, and two shiny, plump, juicy lemons. And we're lucky in our house, we've actually got a genuinely sharp Japanese carving knife. So I went to it. I gave the glasses 20 minutes, half an hour in the freezer to frost up. And then I whipped them out, put them on the kitchen table. Ice, at least half full of ice. Cover it with Coca-Cola all the way up to the top. Have to stop because it fizzes like mad and you get 2 inches of froth, which slowly recedes, and then you top it all the way to the top, the very tip top. Only that much left on top. And in go the lemon slices, which you've finely sliced and cut in half. And I took these 2 glasses out, and for myself and my other half, it was an occasion. It was like we were celebrating something huge and romantic and private. We were drinking soft drinks as, if you like, God intended. And it was such a different experience. Oh yeah, the ice diluted the Coke towards the end. You gotta get it down you pretty quick. Otherwise you will end up with a glass of sort of slightly coloured water as the ice melts. But that's no great hardship, finishing off half a pint of Coke that's freezing cold and properly dressed for the occasion. Drinking your drinks when it's hot, drinking them well. Absolutely wonderful. Picking up odd new friends is wonderful if you stay alert to it. Quick example, they're rebuilding a house 2 doors down from us, and that means that for the last year or so, we've had workers in and out the house, in and out the front garden, lorries pulling up, vans pulling up. And I walk the dog past that building site at least 3 or 4 times a week. And so you get on nodding terms with the workers who you see regularly. And then after about 4 or 5 times of walking past and just going, morning, and making a comment about the weather, as you do, hope this rain keeps off. It was. Now that the sun's out, they're all shirt sleeves and everything. So you say something like, enjoying this weather? So, oh, it's better than rain. So it begins like that. And then one of the workers on this site, who turned out to be the sort of site manager, he turned it into a conversation. He was by the front of the house, by the front gate, in fact. And I went past and I said something, I can't remember what, and football came into the conversation. So that was it. We were off. And now, every time I walk past, he stops what he's doing and he comes over to me. Okay? And the last time he did it, he offered his fist like that. And I'm afraid I'm not terribly well up with some of the motifs of teenhood, such as strange handshakes. I know it's not that strange, the fist bump thing. But it took me a moment to realise, oh, I'm bumping fists with him. What does this mean? Have we gone to the next stage? And I think we had. So I know all about his infatuation with a football team called Tottenham Hotspur and what a bad season they've had. And I know that his mum is not well and he's having to go and look after her every other weekend. He has to drive down to Cornwall, which is a good 4 or 5 hours, but he does it. He doesn't talk about family. He talks about his mum, and we talk about the project that he's working on. One day I had to go and ask them if whoever had parked their van opposite our drive would mind just moving it a little bit so that we could get in and out, reverse in and out of our drive more easily. And it was him. And I said, I'm really sorry, I'm not a complainer. He said, no, but that's not good park there, is it? So I apologise for that. And the bloke whose van it was came out and he moved it quite happily, waved at me, wasn't bothered. And then 5 minutes later, lo and behold, a different van comes along and parks in the same spot. And this new pal of mine, he was looking out for such like, doesn't want me inconvenienced anymore. So he went running across and said to the fella, can you just move a couple of lengths down that way? Because gentleman here, his wife has to reverse out onto the road and it can be a bit tricky. No, the fella was absolutely fine about it. So the thing is this, I've got a new friend. I don't even know his name. I don't think he knows my name either. But we are on fist-pumping terms now. And I make a point of pausing as I go past the site, now with the dog, who now expects a little chat there, because as soon as we get there, she lies down, okay, because she knows that she's going to be held up for 5 minutes, whilst these 2 new friends, me and him, pass the time of day. Why? What do we get out of it? And yet somehow in an elusive way, just knowing that there's somebody who you will know and who will want to have a word with you, a friendly word with you, is extremely nutritious, is the best word I can find for it. Apart from the fact that, of course, these fleeting friendships, absolutely wonderful. When there's football on and it's England, everybody in our house settles down, even people who hate football, they find something in it. And we've noticed in our house that England often score a goal when I've got up to either go to the fridge and get a beer or go to the loo. The downstairs loo, obviously, because it's nearest, or the half bath room that the Americans call the downstairs loo. But anyway, and so I would be out of the house, there'd be a great big cheer, and I'd come in and I'd miss the goal. Of course, they show it again and again and again, but I missed the moment. I missed that incredible exuberation, that a room full of people who are all longing for the same thing to happen, have it happen, and everybody loves each other for that well, no, it's more than a nanosecond, for that 30 to 60 seconds of celebrating. We've scored, we have. And that's so exciting, and we are all happy with each other, and we are bonded enormously, and there is hugging and high-fiving and all sorts. So what they did was this, right? I'd gone out to get a beer, and as I got to the fridge and opened it, this enormous cheer went up from the living room, and I went running back, and they'd had me. I went running back, going, "This always happens." Oh, I've been kebabbed. You muppets. Honestly, though, there was a real kindness about it. Being the butt of a friendly, practical joke can be, you've got to be careful, got to get it right, can be absolutely wonderful. Sitting in the studio where I record the wonderful hour, there is one window, that looks out over a lot of greenery. A big high hedge, a beautiful silver birch tree, some old poplars, a couple of overgrown sycamore trees, and some flat. But it darkens. It darkens the light, the air, outside the studio window, which means that every time I look up during the summer, I see what looks like it's an aquarium filled with thousands and thousands of minute darting tiddlers, and it's flying insects. The air is thick with them. We don't realise how easy it is to lunch if you're a bird, because lunch is constantly going past your beak. Oh, they this way, that way. Some of them fly into the window, because nobody accused flying insects of being intelligent. They bump around, they bump into each other. If they're lucky, they avoid the occasional spider's web that's out there. I always release flies if I see them or try to, because they're usually pretty gummed up. Mainly because I saw and remember the ending of a film I don't recommend called The Fly. It's extremely scary. There's lots of gardening going on. I don't know if you can pick up a gardener gardening either in our house or next door, I don't know. But here's the thing. We had to remove a pond from our back garden because we have so many toddlers come, some of them not ours. It's not a risk worth taking. It was only about yay deep, but we filled it in. And we had forgotten that from time to time, sitting in our back garden next to the pond, we would be visited by the most spectacular animal on earth that's ever lived. I don't care what anybody says about T-Rex or lions and gorillas. They're great. They're fantastic. But nothing comes close to the dragonfly. Just think about the name alone. The dragonfly. And what can it do? We've had Harrier jump jets for decades. Well, the dragonfly's been able to do that for millions of years. You know that the dragonfly was around and about during Jurassic times and Triassic times and all of that. It's survived everything. It's hardy, and yet it's so beautiful. It's beautiful in a powerful way. That thick, streamlined body, those enormous, beautifully parchmented wings, the colours of them. You get red ones, you get green ones, you get yellow ones, and they all do the same thing. They dart in to your presence, hover absolutely statically, absolutely stock still. They don't come to a slow halt like that. They zip, And there they are, hovering over your pond. I've never seen one dip in and drink, but they know the water's there. It's almost as though they're exploring it. Well, exploring, making sure it's there so that when it's safe for them to have a drink, they will. I don't know if that's the reason. I'm not a naturalist, but I like to think I keep my eyes peeled. So we got rid of the pond, and I thought, well, that's it with dragonflies. But no, because our dog used to drink from the pond, used to prefer pond water to nice clean tap water. I think I get that. But she was deprived of her watering hole when we filled in the pond. And she would go to what used to be the pond from time to time, and I would see her, and I swear she looked sad and would look at me as if to say, why? Why? So I got this little rectangular bucket that we've got. It's nowhere near as big as the pond, but it holds 6 inches of water. And I filled it up with water, and I put it next to where the pond used to be. And sure enough, she drinks from it. I have to fill it up again every week or 10 days. But you know what I'm going to say? Yes. Guess who? I'll get emotional. Guess who came back? Guess who came back and went, they've come to their senses. They've continued to provide me and my mates with some water. I'll spread the word. And when it's nice and quiet, say dusk or something like that, whenever dragonflies feed or take or rehydrate, I don't know, we'll come back when it's safe to do so. And I like to think that the dragonfly said, glad you've come to your senses. Well done. From all of us dragonflies, wonderful. That's about all we've got time for today. I was just checking my phone. 25 minutes, that's about right for a wonderful hour. I hope they've touched a nerve, some of them, with you. If not, and you still find yourself feeling a little bit quizzical about what the wonderful hour is about, I've got 2 suggestions. One, try and stay where you are or where you've been at some point during listening to me going on about little things that I've noticed that are wonderful. And then try to remind yourself somehow during the course of the whole day, the coming week, we'll do another one in about a week's time. Try to remind yourself just to notice that finishing the washing up, I don't know, I could go on. The sound of somebody else cutting the lawn. If you can get your mind in the right place, it takes your heart to the right place. Absolutely wonderful. Till the next time, take care.